And we are back with another episode of the Hockey Princess podcast. Guys, Krusty has returned. He has graced us with his presence again. He is stateside. He is back.
Ciao.
Krusty, welcome back.
Ciao.
Ciao, indeed.
Ciao. And I can't remember really anything else word-wise. There's a prego.
Yes.
That means something back when they say something.
That means truly, I think, like 20 things.
Sure
Prego
does.
is
I liked it.
everything.
I liked it.
How was your time away? Do you feel rested? Do you feel
Rested?
I don't know.
You're an international traveler there, Hockey Princess. Do you ever come back rested?
No.
Yeah.
No, but
Yeah.
rested to
That's
get back into the world of hockey. There was a lot, and then you had a little bit of time off. You couldn't watch, 4 games in one day.
yeah. It was yeah. That was a little rough sauce.
You left during the playoffs like a noob.
I did leave during the playoffs, which is just fine. I've decided I'm going to start asking people when I won't be able to plan to leave during the playoffs, and I figure that's still 3 years away.
Yeah,
But, maybe somebody will tell me, nope, next year, it's coming.
we're going all the way.
Yeah. Yeah, so, I mean, my talks won't be as insightful as they usually are. I like to make sure that I've watched everything. This is a lot of, condensed game watching. And
Which
so
Krusty hates.
I do not hate it. I'm a firm believer in half to 3/4 of the people that talk hockey, that's all they watch. So, but hey, I digress. And as I told you, I met some hockey people on
Yep.
probably the only day I did not wear any of my colors in Italy.
Yep.
So,
Um, all right. Well, let's get into it. Before we get into the NHL, there are a lot of P-Dub news because we really didn't talk a ton on P-Dub news, and then there was P-Dub news that came out after Brie and I had recorded. Yes, Krusty.
is this like the first time a playoff game has ever been canceled because of sickness?
Probably.
Okay, go on. I just
But we've
wanted
also
to.
had,
I just
Olympic
wanted to
games
let you know that
canceled because of
I have
sickness.
P-Dub knowledge.
Well, we've also had Olympic games canceled because of sickness this year.
Yes, but there's a difference. All right,
Well, not
I'll just
everybody
be
has.
quiet.
There's not farm teams. The PWHL does not have privilege that the NHL does to, just call up guys from the AHL or, they have the NHL is working with a larger group of individuals to call up on a whim compared to the PWHL.
Correct.
So anyway, speed bump number one done. We got a lot of PW news.
Warm.
We've got a lot of expansion news. First one that came out, like I said, after Bree and I recorded last week's, but before the episode aired, Detroit has a new PWHL team. Hamilton, Ontario has a PWHL team. Las Vegas has a PWHL team. And Chicago does not. Very sad. Detroit was the first one. It was announced last week. They will be playing in LCA. I think there's definitely a market in the Detroit area. Absolutely. The fan base is there. I think, not only did Detroit have one of the higher turnouts for the takeover games, but it is a hockey market. You kind of figured Canada was getting an expansion because it seems like they've been trying to, do a couple in the US, a couple in the States. And a lot of people were figuring, maybe not another one in Ontario, maybe Edmonton, maybe Winnipeg, something a little bit further west. But Ontario gets their third PWHL team. But of course, I mean, Ontario is such a saturated hockey market that obviously the market is there for another hockey team. Vegas was a little bit of a curveball, in my opinion. I think it makes sense to have a team further in the West, kind of like a breaking point between like Minnesota and Seattle in terms of distance. I think a lot of people assumed it would be Denver just because of the consistent turnout that Denver fans have shown for all of the takeover games that they've had at Ball Arena, and also just the overall support from the Colorado Avalanche. I think a lot of people were figuring Denver would get one, but Vegas gets one. Um, San Jose is still kind of in the rumored to be getting one, but we don't know yet. But those are kind of the updates in terms of expansions. We also have, yes, Christy.
Oh no, I just well, first off, I wanted to say that was an excellent episode last week
Oh,
with you and
thank you.
me, and you guys you broke this down very, very nicely as far as the expansion. I'm always amazed that really whoever else you have on besides me, the show is so much better. I don't know what that says about me, but it was excellent, and you guys had gone over Denver.
Yeah.
Vegas has got to be more like they figure they can draw because of the travel location.
Yeah.
The one thing that Vegas has over anybody else is fans that want to go watch their team on the road. That's like the top spot. Oh well, let's plan out a time to go to Vegas around when the Sirens are playing, when this team's playing, when that team's playing. So I get that. In Detroit, I think you guys had already gone over that was basically a slam dunk.
It was basically a slam dunk. I'm still a little, I'm waiting for DC to get one because that's kind of the one that I've been thinking from the jump should have one. Not only because of, I think as a city, when the capitals start to decline, you need another hockey point of interest in the city if you want to continue it to be a hockey market. But also, DC is number two behind San Francisco in terms of women's sports markets. And so I think it just makes sense for DC to have one. But maybe we will get that eventually. Some other dates were announced this past week as well. We have the P-Dub Awards on June 16th, and then the long-awaited draft for the P-Dub. Where does KK Harvey go? Where does Abby Murphy go? Where does Layla Edwards go? Where does Tess Janicki go? Will be June 17th. So it will be a little bit prior to the NHL draft. We will not go into a ton like we do with the NHL draft, mainly just because I only have so much brain capacity, but we certainly will cover it leading up to it and then after to kind of see where the bigger players do go. Also, just because I would figure around that time frame, there may be some trades, there may be some other, interesting things happen. Does Hillary Knight go to a third team? For the Seattle Torrent fans, I hope she doesn't. For Hillary's sake, I hope she's able to just like stay in one place for a hot minute. But we definitely will be covering it. It just won't be, we will not be reading a 1,200 page book on all of the prospects that are eligible for the draft.
Yeah, and everything that I'm hearing now is you're right, I'm wrong, and it doesn't seem like my gal will go first, so it looks like either second or third. So, which is kind of fine, I guess.
Well, Krusty, this means you don't have to purchase a Vancouver piece of garb.
That's good then. That's good.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's much much better. Who picks two?
Seattle is two. The New York Sirens are three.
Okay.
So we shall see where they go. Bit of P-Dub news in terms of the postseason. Round one is done. We will have a new Walter Cup champion this year. The Minnesota Frost have been eliminated. So sorry, girls. From playoff contention as well as the Boston Fleet. So it is going to be a battle of Canada versus Canada. We've got the Ottawa Charge versus the Montreal Victoire. I talked about it with Brie last week. It's very exciting that whoever wins, it's going to be a new champion because the Minnesota Frost have won the past 2 years. So it should be just very exciting overall. That is going to start tomorrow for the first game, and then they alternate every other day. So you got the 14th, the 16th, the 18th, and then two others, depending because it is a best of five. So it could go a little bit longer if they don't sweep. I imagine this will go to a full count, like game best of five, and we'll go to five just because both of these teams are incredibly talented. So big, exciting. There will be a new Walter Cup champion.
I would assume the press and everything is very happy about this. That's a short commute back and forth.
Yeah.
That works out for everybody logistically. That's for darn sure. So.
Yeah, should be very good. That is all of the P-Dub news that we have. We do have some NHL stuff. Actually, scratch that. Before we get to the NHL, I've got some prospect stuff. I know what you're thinking. Hockey Princess, I thought we were done with prospect stuff, but we're not. We are leading up to the Memorial Cup, which is going to be in a couple of weeks. As a reminder, that is the OHL champion, the WHL champion, the Q League champion, and then the host team. We do have a prospect going to the Memorial Cup because the Kitchener Rangers are the champion of the OHL League, which that is Jack Pridham. And then the host team is the Kelowna Rockets, so they're going to be out west. WHL hasn't been decided yet. It's between Everett and Prince Albert. Q League hasn't been decided yet either. That is between Moncton and Chicoutimi. So that is going to be the battle of all four. With, the OHL season basically being done, this means Put a Spell on You comes over. Merrick Vanaker comes over. Jack Pridham, it's interesting because I believe he technically could come over, but he is set to go to BU next year. So unsure, he's 20, so he definitely could go to Rockford, but he also, I believe he was set to go to BU this upcoming year and then stayed in juniors for another year, but is now going this, 2025, or not 25, 26, 27 season to BU. Could also be very interesting because depending on how the number 4 goes, he could be playing with a teammate. Because the lottery happened, folks, and we are picking number 4. This is my best segue. And
I was just going to say, that's good work.
That's some good work on my part. The number 4 pick has quite a few forwards that are going to be you next year. So Jack Pridham could be playing with a potential teammate. But like I said, the lottery happened. Every couple of years, our buddy Gary's got to rig it for somebody. It got rigged in 2023 for us. Well, now, the day after, there's the rumor of the day of it's rumored Austin Matthews is leaving. Toronto wins the number 1 overall pick to score Gavin McKenna, which is just wild. As we talked a little bit about the draft on and off. We'll certainly be talking about it more since we're leading up to it. I am rather happy with the number 4 pick. I don't know about you, Krusty. I think it makes things certainly more interesting. I think it certainly makes it really interesting this year with San Jose being in the mix at number 2 because there's many different ways that they could go with the number 2 pick, and it makes it interesting, very interesting at the number 4.
Yeah, it sure does. I can't imagine a world where San Jose does not take one of those defensemen. That's just from me. You need to learn from other teams. So learn from the Edmonton Oilers. You can't sit there and draft forwards all the time and let Seth Jones slide. You need a well-balanced team, and another forward, it doesn't make sense. That would work out well for the Hawks in
It would
the.
work out very well. And this draft, I feel like, is a unique one because you have three highly touted right-handed defensemen that any of them could go top five. I mean, for the longest time, so you've got Keaton Verhoff, Carson Karels, and Chase Reed. And for the longest time, Keaton Verhoff was expected to go number two until Stenberg shot up the ratings, or the rankings. But you have, this isn't a, oh, but taking the best defenseman available would be a bit of a reach. There's three that are highly ranked right there. So, and it's not, too much of a large gap.
Yeah, but I don't need any of them.
No, I don't, because we need a magical kid by the name of Caleb Malhotra. Um, but that being said, he is another interesting one because, folks, we got Toronto with the Gavin McKenna pick. Say if San Jose does go defenseman, you got Mr. Malhotra working for the Vancouver Canucks. So do they draft, you know, staff son? Is this a Nepo draft pick? Not completely, because Caleb Malhotra is an incredibly talented player. But do the Vancouver Canucks take Malhotra, which means Stenberg could drop to number 4? Very interesting.
Yeah, and we'll talk about this, and everybody will go
Yeah.
round and round and round. But at the end of the day, if you ask me, yeah, you're taking one of those two, whichever is left.
Yeah.
Malhotra would check a lot of boxes.
Yes.
It gets Krusty's dream scenario off the boards that, a couple of these guys who are playing center, I'd like to move to the wing and give them a little less defensive responsibility and a little bit more freedom. And Malhotra would satisfy that.
Yeah.
So,
And
yes,
with Malhotra, size.
yes, yeah,
There's size down the center, which we need. I think we've seen that all year, just how much size we do need. And with a particular signing of a little Russian kid coming over who is going to constantly put the puck in the net, I have no doubt in that. I need even more size.
Has the little Russian signed?
Yes.
What's the contract? I did not see that. The only thing that, Krusty's been out and about. I just heard that he was let go from Russia to continue his career in the NHL, but I did not hear that he had signed.
No current contract. Everyone told me it was signed.
Yeah, I don't believe there's a current contract. That should be a wacky one. Because he's coming over with a lot
We are
of hype.
signing him.
Huh?
We will
Yes,
sign him.
They are going to sign him, but there's the possibility it's only like 2 years, and then he's going to want his massive payday if he is everything that they're talking about. There's a lot of pressure on that kid. There's a whole fan base that thinking he's the savior, and that's, whew. We'll see. I mean, yes, he will sign. It depends on what kind. So we can
Yeah.
talk about, we'll have all summer to go through all of that.
But we
stuff.
need size. So, Caleb Malhotra, you are a Chicago Blackhawk, please.
So you're taking him over the Swede?
Yes. And this has nothing to do with the Swede. If we do take the Swede, this is kind of like drafting Anton Frendel when I was on the Porter Martone train. This has nothing to do against the Swede. I'm very pro drafting European hockey players. We love the Finns, we love the Swedes. Ivar Stenberg has made it clear that he is not going back to Sweden, which means a Chicago or a Rockford placement for him. I do not trust Chicago or Rockford to develop him. And so it is not a fear of his talent or, questioning anything of his game. It is questioning our game. I am questioning Chicago to be able to develop him because I have not seen any proof of this organic development working well yet. And so I am still questioning it. Whereas I have seen development on the Swedish level with Anton Frandell being at Djurgården for 1 year, and he is the most skilled forward on the roster at this moment.
Well, the second most skilled forward. Let's
He's the most mature.
Yes. Yes, he's got the best all-around game, but
Yeah.
that 98 is still your most. That's head
He's
and
the most
shoulders.
mature hockey player on the ice for
Yes.
Chicago. And if I'm getting that 1 year with Swedish development versus guys that we've had in our system for quite a few years, and I'm not seeing that maturity or, next steps in their development, I'm a little scared that nothing is going to happen. And that's not a knock on Stenberg. That is a full knock on management.
Okay. Well, as I said, I believe this will be out of Katie's hands.
Oh, yeah, this is fully in Vancouver's control.
And at this, I think you just take whoever drops and
Yeah,
be okay with it. There is, between those two players, there is nobody that I go, I guarantee.
right.
You know, is Malhotra a top two centerman? I don't know. I know he's a centerman, so
Right.
that's good, and he's big. And the Svenberg kid, his ceiling is probably higher,
Yeah.
and he's got that motor that Katie likes. So it'll be interesting.
Yeah. Very interesting. But like Christy said, we'll get into it quite a bit more. We've got other picks. We've got things to overanalyze for weeks.
Oh yeah, oh yeah. I have not really. I just started my peak, so and your guy just continues to intrigue me, and I want to
Which
see
guy?
how we can get
Drop
back
to
up.
number 9 or 10 and take Suvanto instead?
Well, the stuff you start reading, it's like he might even drop to 15. Now I start when he's at, around 12. I want to start talking to the Islanders and stuff, and saying I got Sam Runzel. I've got another number one next year. He's
He's
he
a
checks
six
he
foot
checks.
three centerman.
We've said this before. He checks a lot of crusty boxes, just a lot.
Yeah.
And but again, there's more teasing that yes, keep on listening all summer.
Yeah. Because we don't stop talking about the draft. We'll basically go from now until the end of June. All right. Well, then, keeping in the NHL, and we can kind of discuss because we've missed a week because we really didn't talk. We talked a little bit of playoff hockey when Bree was on the show last week, but Krusty's missed a week of playoff hockey. So, last time we were on, we were still in the depths of round one. Krusty, do you have any final thoughts? Any thoughts about, the ending of round one with the Dallas first round exit? Does this mean we get Jason Robertson?
I can't imagine that happens, but again, there's just stuff in play. That Bork kid is almost like a little stank wannabe. You've also got to sign him. You don't have a ton of cap space. It'll be very interesting what they do. If you want Robertson, though, it's a high price. And as I said, for that kind of talent, I think the one guy people might have wanted would have been NASCAR. And with his contract now,
No.
nobody wants
I
that.
don't think Dallas can take on that contract because I think
They,
if Dallas could have taken on that contract, they'd be re signing Robertson.
right. But so he becomes more difficult to move
Yeah.
because of that. That's a lot of money to spend on somebody that you are unsure of.
Yeah.
at 6.5. He makes a million less than Matthew Nyes, and their games are not even close. Again, we've been over this with
Oh, I
KD.
know.
He does not have the kahunas to make that move. I think it's time to start your upward trend.
Yeah.
And I've been told by a lot of people, well, we need to see what we have.
We've
And
been
for me,
seeing.
that's a little frightening. So you're telling me you don't know what you should know basically what you have, or we're just willy nilly going through this.
Right.
If you wait to see what you have, the rest of the league knows what you have. Okay?
Yeah.
So your garbage is league garbage. Robertson checks a lot of boxes, but he will come at a high price. I don't think so. I think Dallas figures out a way to get it done.
Yeah.
But again, maybe not. And
Maybe
the
there's
biggest
a
thing we've seen
Rantanen massive, a three-way massive something over the summer.
exactly. If we've noticed one thing, there's a changing of the guard. That's what we noticed in the first round, right? With
Yeah.
Edmonton out, Toronto not making the playoffs, Florida not making the playoffs. You see a changing of the guard. So I hate to toot Nils Horn, the GM for Dallas, but he really does know what he's doing all the time. He just can't win
Yeah.
a cup. So I think that's a hole. But does Dallas get past Minnesota with Rope Hintz? I think so. So
Yeah.
I don't know. It'll be an interesting one.
Be an interesting one. Any East Coast thoughts to round one?
I thought I was glad that Pittsburgh made it interesting.
Yeah.
Kudos to the Flyers. That's for your group.
That's huge.
That's just huge. Carolina just still hasn't lost, and which is crazy. I think we're getting a coming out party of, Kirby Dach and the Montreal Canadiens.
They learned. Canadian fans learned. Also, still, just as a reminder from 2 weeks ago, don't be weird,
Yeah,
but glad that Kirby is able to just keep playing hockey as always.
yeah. I think out east the biggest thing is again changing of the guard. Tampa can't get it done at home in Game 7.
That was my question I wanted to throw to you because you are more of a Tampa. I mean, obviously, we both love Brandon Hagel. And, well, Christy, did you see who was the Tampa Bay Lightning player, the only one that scored in that final game of round one?
Yes, yes, yes. Make sure to
That
tell
would be
Rod that
Dominic
too.
James.
Yes, tell Rod that too. And yeah, that's somebody who was smart enough to not want to be here. We can talk about that at another time.
Well,
Again,
and he seems to be finding footing within Tampa Bay. Like, it's hard to go from college to the NHL in general, but then you're playing, you know, playoff hockey your first year, making that jump. And he seems to be finding footing, which is great.
yeah, and for me, especially in the playoffs, Krusty likes Krusties. So I've been with Vegas, I've been with Tampa, the older teams, and the one thing about Tampa, you have Montreal, you have Carolina, and at the end of the day, all three of those programs have one thing in common. Everybody plays that system on the team. Everybody plays the same way. And for those watching the Chicago Blackhawks, you see that each line plays differently.
Yeah.
That's not a system. That's we're willy-nilling it. I understand we're the young, so
Well, but I thought our coaching learned from Tampa. So you would think that we would be more of a Tampa mindset,
well,
learning from
uh,
Tampa.
again, you have a lot more set up with these
Yeah.
coaches, a lot more of a
Oh yeah,
buy-in.
that's just me winding you up.
I understand that you winding me up. It's just it is really hard to get especially younger players to buy into a system when they're getting the crap kicked out of them all the time.
Right.
So that'll be for the Hawks, that'll be the big thing. Is if this starts to build some momentum, will they buy in? It's just easier when they see, okay, if I play this way, we do get the results. So Tampa, I don't know what they do. They look like they're being left in the dust, and that was no knock on Vasilevsky. I
No,
thought
gosh, no. That man
I
stood on top of his head for half that first round.
but you've got a lot of mileage on Point and Kucherov, and it just, as we know in Chicago, it all catches up.
Yeah.
That's a ton of hockey. So, that was the other thing that I came from, and we can go back to the West for. I don't know what Edmonton does. I am
They
not.
had Stan. We've seen this before.
I am not the biggest Stan hater
I am.
as much as everybody basically is. But with that being said, I love using that. Yes, Hockey Princess.
No, continue, because I have a question about Edmonton.
Stan has always been about swinging for the fences a little bit. And there was a lot of bad strikeouts
Yeah.
in his first year there. We can go Yari, Frederick. You could go through a whole ton of them. And I don't know how they fix any of it. So, without their big hope is somehow you can move Nurse. Nurse is not a good hockey player. Nurse would be great as a third pair defenseman. And Connor Murphy tried his best to babysit him. But so what happens with that? That's the biggest thing for me in the they're on the clock. If
I
it
think
happens
they've been on
again,
the clock.
if it happens again, Connor asks to be moved in his last year. I think that is just the way that could go. So
An Edmonton question I wanted to throw at you.
sure.
Is Knobloch back?
Well, from what I heard, correct me if I'm wrong, number one, they asked for permission to talk to Cassidy, and they were told no,
Yeah.
which is a great block by Vegas. You don't play nice. This is an in-division rival. You don't play nice whatsoever. And now you've asked for permission while you have a coach that, if I'm not mistaken, that's the other Stan. He just re-signed him for 3 years, didn't he?
Yeah.
So, again, I don't see how you can go with you've made your bed with him. He's got to be back next year.
Well, that was my thought is like, do you say, I mean, they've been on the clock. I think they've been on the clock basically since this McDavid 2-year extension was announced. That was, the timer starts now. But does Knobloch, do you try to move Knobloch now? Or is it if McDavid asked to be moved, then you move away from Knobloch and you kind of move away from just Connor and write the narrative of we're kind of blowing things up?
I don't think that'll happen next year. I fully expect Knobloch to be back next year.
Right. No, I'm saying like say McDavid wants to be moved in a year, then that is
Then yeah,
kind of the catalyst to like blow everything up then.
yes.
Okay.
Then you will be blowing everything up, and at that point in time, as we see in Chicago, you could care less who's the coach, right?
Yeah.
You're in the tanker. Let him tank it for another 2 years and then start looking. So either way, I just see him being back. Edmonton, their other big problem was McDavid wasn't close to healthy.
Nobody
And
was.
that
Nobody
hurt.
is. It's playoff hockey. We saw the injury list come out of Boston.
Right, but this one was,
Yeah.
it's that's a dynamic player that can take over games that just couldn't. He had to pick and choose his shifts. So what happens? I don't know. It'll be a lot more big swings by Stan.
Yeah.
And hey, occasionally he's been able to do it right. But it didn't happen in year one, I can tell you that.
No
So
way.
I think everything stays the same for next year. They try to fill their holes. They've got that goaltending hole. Then that's another Stan, just huge mistake.
Yeah.
So, woof. Sorry, Stan, but you're not.
I'm
Doing that
not.
well.
But speaking of another head coach change, Berube is out in Toronto
When did that happen?
today.
Holy cow! Sorry, I was at the gym.
So that should be very entertaining. On who slides into that spot? Because a month and even a couple of weeks ago, it was a less than desirable, and it still is less than desirable. I mean, it's the head coaching job for the Toronto Maple Leafs. Like it's where you go for everyone to hate you.
Well,
But
there's an assistant
McKenna,
coach that's gaining probably a lot of traction in these playoffs, getting tutelage under Coach Q. So I will throw that name right now. That would
for
be your
folks who
Woodcroft.
don't know, that is what you're talking Woodcroft, right?
Yes.
Yeah.
Yeah, so I would assume Cassidy. And my guy, there's always that weird dynamic between each side of Canada also. And the fact Woodcroft coached Edmonton for a little while. That just seems to. I've got to figure Matthews is a tiny bit involved. You don't say that
I
you're getting rid of him without then saying, hey, they're going to have a sit down with Matthews anyways. What do you
right.
think?
Um, I would definitely agree with that because I'm not on the Woodcroft hating train whatsoever. I think his time as head coach, I don't think he was a bad head coach. I think it wasn't clicking for like the time of when he was in Edmonton, and I think at that point in time, just Knobloch was a better like click with that group. But I don't think that was like a knock on Woodcroft's ability to coach.
No, and you know me. I'm a supporter. I like the way he talks. I like his systems. I like him as a coach a lot. So if you're listening, Katie, remember I like him a lot. So I just think and he doesn't take crap. It's my way or the highway, and I don't think that worked real well in Edmonton. But
No.
again, you have to have a better system, and
Yeah.
everybody's got to kind of play the same way. So,
Who knows? It's Toronto.
but
Anything
yeah,
can happen.
Toronto comes with baggage. It also comes with whichever coach goes there and is able to win. You get statues, you get this, you get that. The reward is massive. And I think the challenge everybody wants to take as long as Matthews is there and on board.
Right. Krusty,
Hockey
you
princess.
know where Jay Woodcroft is from?
I have no idea.
He is from the great city of Toronto itself.
I just think it all lines up. I've watched some of the Duck stuff. He's doing a lot of coaching.
Yeah.
Q is famous for that. His people run things. Q is about matchups. He's about lines. But he lets his assistants run power plays, run penalty, big time.
Yeah.
And they're the ones. So That's my guy. If I'm Toronto, if it's sold to Matthews, that's who I would want.
That makes
Cassidy
complete
has had
sense.
other chances, and Cassidy comes with his label of being very difficult.
Well, and I feel like you kind of had that with Berube too.
Oh
So I feel
yes,
like if you're making a switch from Berube to Cassidy, it's kind of more of the same.
yeah,
Where, I mean, I do think Cassidy will end up getting a job,
yes,
um, but the big thing is where, because I don't think this is going to be the only coaching change um, during the off season. Another piece of news that I wanted to throw out since we were talking, getting back to the first round, is we have a 6 game suspension for Charlie McAvoy at the start of next season for the tomahawking um, against the final game in Buffalo. It was not McAvoy's proudest moment, but yeah, so we got a 6 game suspension at the beginning of next year for that one.
I did not see that, so I'll look at it and maybe comment on it next show.
Yeah.
You know my stance as far as using the stick as a weapon. And
Yep.
I like Charlie
Not good.
McAvoy a lot, as anybody who listens to this show knows. I believe Greer or whoever got one too from Ottawa, the one guy who came in,
Yeah.
which is another thing that I'm noticing in the playoffs that they need to nip in the butt right now is you have to start punishing these guys pronto for going in when there's already 2 players engaged.
Yes.
I'd like to see that come to an end also. But I didn't see the Charlie. But yeah, I would assume that was a frustration, and yeah, I'm sure he's not proud of it.
Yeah. Um, no, definitely. But we've got the second round now. For some teams, the second round's already done. As we've seen from photos from our insiders in North Carolina, some of the Hurricanes are already hitting the golf course, which I don't know if I would want to do that before I go into the scariest round that my team has history with. Um, but they've got some extra days off. Carolina advances to the Eastern Conference Finals. We've got the battle between Montreal and Buffalo, which has been incredibly exciting. Not only with just Buffalo being back in the second round, but you've got the Montreal Canadiens firing on all cylinders. Just both, just great, just a solid matchup in general. I believe UPL was back in net for the last game, and he did well. I think
Yeah,
it's been
basically, I
that
heard that
goaltending
was.
tandem has been really interesting because obviously you start with UPL and then Lyon did very well. Um, and I don't even think Lyon did badly to get him the yank, but I think Buffalo definitely wasn't performing their best for Montreal's if the last couple of games again with the Montreal versus Buffalo matchup. So why not throw UPL back in? Um,
UPL
uh,
is a lot more agile
yeah,
than Lions is, and that's the reason because Buffalo is still forgetting that Cole Caulfield is on the ice at times, especially during the power play, that and leaving the middle open. So UPL gives you the ability to go post to post a lot quicker than Lions does. From
yeah,
what I heard, that was a UPL win last game. It's the
yeah.
only reason they won. That's the other thing in these playoffs that we're starting to see is a more and more of a group goaltending tandem. And it'll be interesting if, say like a Buffalo or a Colorado could win the cup, alternating goaltenders a decent amount, which I don't
Um,
think has happened in a while.
no. And speaking of goaltenders on the flip side, we need to talk about how incredible Jakub Dobeš is for the Montreal Canadiens. My God. I know, like, obviously, yes, he was good during the regular season when he was up or like playing for the Montreal Canadiens. Whoever ends up winning the Vezina is going to be incorrect because Jakub Dobeš is the best goaltender in the NHL right now. My goodness, this kid, I can't sing his praises higher than I he's been absolutely phenomenal to watch during these playoffs.
Yeah, he's been a complete difference maker. The story has just been beautiful with the love
Yes.
affair with the Habs faithful and him. It's been unbelievable to watch. If any of your listeners have not watched a complete game in Montreal during these playoffs, that's much watched TV. That's a crazy barn and a crazy fan base, but their love affair is, whew, it's almost creepy.
Well, and for the last couple of years, there's always been the constant conversation of like, yes, the Montreal Canadiens, like you have Slavkovsky, you have Suzuki, you have Caulfield, you're getting Lane Hudson, you have all of these pieces, but goaltending. Ladies and gentlemen, the Montreal Canadiens have goaltending. Jakub Dobeš is your goaltender.
Yeah, and
He is your next Carey Price.
that makes them a cup contender.
Yeah.
At the end of the day, they forecheck almost as good as the Canes, which is high praise.
Yeah.
They get after you. They get after you, and if you're weak on in the back end, you pay. You just pay. Yeah, he's been by far the best story in the playoffs. So, good for Montreal, good for the game, that's for sure. He's been phenomenal.
Absolutely phenomenal. Jumping west really quick, we've still got two more matchups out. We've got Colorado versus Minnesota, which truly had the drunkest game one possible with 15 goals scored. Absolutely insane. And thank you for showing up, Minnesota, but I think this is Colorado's match.
Well, yeah, Minnesota took a big hit. The Elker, whatever he's called, Oliver, whatever,
Erickson Ek.
Eriksson is out. And for those who don't know and are privy to Blackhawk lore, that's like a Dave Bolin. You are talking an unbelievable shutdown centerman that makes everybody else better around him. And for him not to be there against Colorado, I think has been huge for Minnesota. It's
Yeah.
it's already a very uphill battle playing Colorado, and without him, I think that's been it. It's been beautiful to watch Minnesota's defensemen. I mean, it's worth the price of admission to watch Quinn Hughes and Faber play together. Just the way they dictate play. But Colorado is just, you had your Duncan Keith moment with McKinnon, who took a real wicked puck right to the face and
Blood
nose, I
everywhere.
don't think, stopped bleeding the rest of the game. But yeah, I think it's too much.
Yeah.
And you have to play perfect. And that's a tall ask. Things are trending up for Minnesota. Wallstead looks really good. Let's face the
Yeah.
facts. He looks really, really good. So, Colorado's just too tough, right? I mean, and
Yeah.
they're not unsure of their goaltenders. And, that'll be, if we've learned one thing about the NHL, it's a copycat league. And if Colorado wins, you're going to see a lot of GMs going, well, we don't have to have a stud $10 million goaltender. We can do it this way.
Yep.
So, yeah, that's my take on that series.
Yeah. And then finally, we've got the Drunk Fest out in the West with the Vegas Golden Knights versus the Anaheim Ducks. Vegas currently is leading the series, but as if we learned anything from round one, never count the Ducks out. In games, in the series, in just the playoffs. Right now, I'm going to be really honest with our listeners. This is probably the one that I've watched the least, not just because of late start times, but I don't have the desire to watch the Vegas Golden Knights. Um, so this one, I don't know who comes out of this, but I will guarantee I'm not a betting person whatsoever. Whoever comes out of this is getting smoked by Colorado.
Yes. Yeah, I don't see
That's
how
just
that
plain and simple.
I don't see how that doesn't happen. The other thing from that series and it's been a coming out party for Jackson Lacombe, who
Yes.
everybody was like, looked at that contract and said, "Is this real?" And obviously, that GM in Anaheim knows what he's doing, huh? Yeah, he knows what he's doing real well.
Yep.
Lacombe has come out and been a superstar defensively in all areas. So they're just young, but they have the ability to counterpunch. And so does Vegas. Anytime you can throw out Marner and Eichel, it's going to cause trouble if you make a mistake. And that's what happened in the overtime.
Yeah.
One little mistake and it's on Eichel's stick, and, you just got to throw a nice little pass over to your top goal scorer.
Yeah.
I think it's a great story for Anaheim. They're trending way up, and more people coming. Oof.
Yeah. So should definitely be an interesting rest of the round two. Krusty, do you have any final NHL playoff or NHL thoughts for this week?
No, my apologies for not watching enough of it. I'm sorry. I know there's a lot of people who tune in just to get my insight. I almost said that with a straight face. No, we'll talk more next week about it
Yeah.
if I still have a job. I don't know. Your guests are a lot better than me, so I don't see me sticking around much
Oh
longer.
gosh, Krusty, you're not going to be on next week.
I'm not.
Folks,
Krusty's been fired.
we are taking another pause. You can tell that I have limited interest to this year's playoffs. We are taking another pause on our playoff talk because we are going back to book talk. Next week, we've got Sarah from Hot Girls Learn Hockey. We will be having another book club episode because the off campus series just dropped today. So it should be very fun. Another fun book club episode. And then Christy will be back on.
Krusty doesn't quite know how to take this.
We're building up the anticipation.
Yeah, in case any of you guys, remember, when Dennis Savard was coaching and all of a sudden other people were being brought in around him.
Oh my goodness.
That's what it feels like.
All right. Okay, folks. Just as a reminder, make sure to hit that like and subscribe on either Spotify, Apple Podcasts, Amazon Music, YouTube, however you watch or listen to us ramble on a weekly basis. If you make sure you tune in next week for some book club action. That is all, and we will. Yes, Christy.
And also, if you guys have the ability to, I suggest taking in a P-Dub game or two.
Absolutely, guys. The finals should be very
See what
exciting
that
this
does for you
weekend.
if you haven't watched the P-Dub before, like me. And I'm going to
Yes.
see what it does for me.
It's fantastic. There's no better hockey than a P-Dub game, and definitely tune into the finals for this weekend. That is all, and we will talk to you guys next week.